Imagine you're holding a ball in your hand, and you let it go. It falls. Of course it does. You've seen it 1,000 times. But here's the strange part. Nobody actually sees gravity. You don't see a force pulling the ball down. You just see motion, and your brain fills in the rest. Now here's where things get really interesting. What if I told you that the way most people think about gravity is completely wrong? You see, most of us grow up believing that gravity is some invisible force, like a magnet, pulling things together. That's how it's usually explained. Even Isaac Newton thought about it this way. Objects attracting each other across space. And for a long time, that explanation worked beautifully. Apples fell, planets moved, equations matched reality. But there was always something deeply uncomfortable about it. How does the Earth reach out and pull an object without touching it? What is actually doing the pulling? Now fast forward a couple of centuries, and along comes Albert Einstein, and he looks at this whole idea and says, maybe we're asking the wrong question. Instead of thinking about gravity as a force, Einstein imagined something radically different. He said, what if there is no force at all? What if objects aren't being pulled, but are simply following the natural shape of space itself? That sounds abstract, so let's make it real. Imagine space not as empty nothingness, but something flexible, like a stretched rubber sheet. Now place a heavy ball in the center of that sheet. It bends, and if you roll a smaller ball nearby, it doesn't move straight anymore. It curves toward the heavier one. Not because something is pulling it, but because the surface itself is curved. That's gravity. And suddenly, everything changes. The Earth isn't pulling the moon. The sun isn't grabbing the planets. Instead, massive objects are bending space, and everything else is simply moving along the curves. Now here's the part that really messes with your intuition. If you're standing on Earth right now, you probably feel like gravity is pulling you down. But according to Einstein, that's not what's happening. In fact, something even stranger is true. You're actually trying to move in a straight line through curved space, and the ground is what stops you.